All right, we touched on this earlier in the first half hour. Big changes incoming at Southwest Airlines. We're joined by Will Anderson, editor-in-chief at the Dallas Business Journal, to talk more about this. Will, we have you here every week now, and we talk about different things, and we had planned to talk to you about an entirely different topic today. Right. But we just talked about Southwest a couple of weeks ago. A bunch of big changes happening there, and here we go all over again. It still hasn't settled.
Things change quickly when an activist investor is breathing down your neck.
Yeah. So we've learned now that Southwest Executive Chairman Gary Kelly says he's going to step down next week. There's also 6 new directors being appointed to the board there in a deal with that activist investor that you were talking about, Elliott Management. We've seen this with companies before, though. When they have a big investor who holds a lot of shares and has a lot of power over the company, things get very unsettled, and they can stay unsettled for quite some time.
That's true. So Elliott enacted a lot of pressure, but now, after months of going back and forth with Southwest, they've reached a deal. So it's a big deal. There's going to be, basically new board members, but it falls short of. Elliott basically said they wanted control of the board. They wanted 8 board members. They wanted to. When you have majority control of the board, you can tell the CEO to do a lot of things. They're not going to get that. They've agreed to basically put 5 members on the board. It's a 13-member board, so they don't have majority control. And going forward, Southwest goes back to the business of running an airline and not worrying about fighting with an activist investor. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the CEO, Bob Jordan, there was this attempt to oust him. How do things look like they stand for him right now?
Yeah, he was in the hot seat, right? Use a sports metaphor. And interesting to see what's changing at Southwest. Just as interesting to see what's not changing. Bob Jordan's staying CEO, so that's some validation that Elliott, some investors think that they want to give him a chance, see what he does implementing the big changes they rolled out that you and I talked about a few weeks ago, bringing in premium seating for the first time, assigned seating, all these brand new things for Southwest. Well, Bob's going to get his chance to try that out, and now going forward, it's in his court.
But as we talked about a few weeks ago, at least for now anyway, those 2 free bags, checked bags, still in place.
Not changing.
Let me ask you about this. Why is this shakeup happening in the first place?
So Southwest, all airlines have suffered since the pandemic. It hit revenue. It was very tough for many businesses, especially airlines that needed to fly people around. Since then, many airlines have seen their profits increase, that their share prices are doing well. Southwest has lagged behind. I mean, Southwest is up 5-6% this year on the stock market, but the S&P is up 20+%. Mm-hmm. So they've lagged behind, and there's been complaints from investors, including Elliott Investment Management, the activist shareholder, that they haven't kept up with the times. And the biggest thing they would point to is, look, you guys still have free-for-all seating. You could at least change that. So there's been a lot of pressure, a lot of pushback, and one could say that's worked, or that pressure from Elliott has paid off in Southwest making changes.
Let me ask you this as we close here. So many changes are happening here. We talked about this before, that head count is likely to be affected by this as far as the number of employees with Southwest. Southwest, affects so many businesses here in North Texas. What's the bottom line for this company as it makes these changes and these improvements? Might some of these have happened anyway if you hadn't had an activist investor? And will this make the company stronger?
That remains to be seen. Yes, they might have made changes anyway, and I think the leadership, CEO Bob Jordan, argued that they were already looking at ways to improve profitability, improve their finances. And really now what this moment does is it changes things. It changes the conversation. Now, instead of having to worry about fending off Elliott and sending out press releases, they can get back to kind of their operational plans, which might be a good thing if you're wondering about what's it going to mean as a flyer. Mm-hmm. And now they can turn their attention to things like, just in the broadcast, the Boeing machinist strike that Bob Jordan said today on the earnings call. That could affect the planes they get in 2025. That's maybe more of an impact on the day-to-day operations and what flyers experience than kind of the activist investor pressure. All important, but at the end of the day, it kind of clears the way for Bob to push forward.
Yeah, because they've got a lot of other things that they need to do to run that airline day to day. Will, thanks again for being with us, talking about the same topic, but it just keeps on getting more interesting over there. Really appreciate it.
We'll see ya.